Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout. Today it's all about Sky Sports Fantasy Football and there is £50,000 up for grabs for the winner. My name is Joe and joining me ahead of Game 26 fixtures in Sky is Luke. Luke, how are you?
I'm okay, Joe. I'm not too bad. Just braving through the football at the moment, like many of us, I think. It's been a bit,
Bit
a
boring.
bit of a yawn fest so far, yeah. But also in fantasy, in terms of movement, I've gone up a stunning one place in the
Wow.
past sort of 2 weeks.
Okay.
You know, all that toing and throwing, and I've gone from 41st to 40th. So, yeah, it's a slog at the
Wow.
moment.
Well, I'm in my end of the table, so I'm top 1,000 still. So I've been hovering between like 800 and 1,000, and I'm currently around the 800 mark. So it's been a better week for me. I thought I got over 100, but I think I'm just below 100 at the moment. I'm not sure whether any points were deducted last night.
Oh, it's because there's a bug. The Man United, I don't think they've added the points yet.
Ah,
Basically, the Man United players didn't score any, similar to Spurs the other day. So they said they were going to fix it. So
oh,
that might be it.
in that case, I've got over 100 points. Yeah, it was very frustrating because the top captains didn't do well. So there was a chance to make ground, but our alternatives didn't do well as well. So, for example, last night I had Martinez, who I got in, but also Fernandez. So, you know, the talk of Gary Cahill has talked about the Manchester United defence for a long time now. About how it's about the Crystal Palace defence and about how it's been improving the focus on defence and about the whole team, and so there was an opportunity, but obviously Martinez conceding against Sheffield United, who are well known scorers this season. What can we do? Before we look at our teams, let's just have a look at some of the latest Tier 2 and Man of the Match stars I've picked out. Man of the Matches, talking Diaz, as we know, that broad spread of points. Mahrez, Kante, Traore, the Wolves one. Now, Wolves fixtures improve soon, so that's of note at the moment. El Ghazi still doing well in Grealish's absence. And Gareth Bale. Now this isn't an FPL one. You got Gareth Bale in a triple captain of an FPL, but we don't care about that in Sky. You're just a no one in Sky.
I'm a no one. Yeah,
You're
carry
just a
on.
top 50 guy in Sky. In FPL, you're a star this week. The talk of Twitter, and we did focus on your team in the Scoutcast as well. Passing tier 2, Walker and Diaz. So Diaz again, that broad spread of points. Dunk, Aspilicueta. This is familiar names. KDB is there, so that could be a chance for us to be a bit different with our teams. Rodri, Mings, Maguire, and Konsa. Konsa was someone I had been considering. But so interesting that he got passing tier 2 there. Tackles tier 2, Kufau and Ayling are the ones I've sort of picked out. Kufau as an alternative for those thinking of Antonio. Ayling as an alternative for those who perhaps haven't got the money and are looking looking away from the likes of Bamford or Rafinha, but I'm not sure why they would look away from Rafinha at the moment. Saves tier 2, Patricio times 2. Once again, Wolves fixtures improve soon. Keep an eye on that. Patricio could be an option. I got him after my first overhaul and he was absolutely rubbish for me, so I'm probably not going to go there, but I might be missing out. And De Gea, who was absent last night for personal reasons. We're not sure what those are yet. Shots tier 2, El Ghazi, Jesus, Joe Ellington, and Curtis Jones. So those looking for a Newcastle option, Joe Ellington could be your man. Or rather Joe Linton, as people mistakenly refer to him in the British commentary. But any of those names or any others spring out to you in terms of the tiers and the man of the matches?
El Ghazi obviously picked up a couple there, and I think it's been a running theme that whenever he's in the team, he's a decent option. So he presents an option moving forward if Grealish is going to continue to be out, I guess. We can talk about him a bit later. Excuse me. Diaz is obviously fantastic. I don't need to go into that, do I? He's just all-round god, basically. The new Van Dijk. And Aspilicueta is probably the annoying one, who's just continued. I think a lot of people started with a Chelsea asset because of the way the fixtures fell, and he did well. And then many of us, I mean, I had Rudiger, but many of us took a Chelsea asset out to then play the fixtures. And since then, Chelsea have just maintained, and in particular, Azpilicueta has picked up bonus and clean sheets, much of the kin of how he used to in seasons past. So Chelsea do go on a fantastic run again soon and have a couple of not necessarily individual days, but days where there's only like 4 teams playing. So my plan, I think, is probably to go back to Azpilicueta at some point, just to try and get something a bit different. I say it's different. Maybe loads of people will do this as well, and the top probably will because the fixtures are good. But yes, just to try and get another one of these defenders who gets clean sheets and bonus, because whenever they are on a run of hitting these 10 points, as Man City has shown us, they are absolute gold dust. Yeah. So it's trying to get them at the right times and
an alternative captain as well. So for example, if it's a day where, like we've just seen with Fernandes, is most popular, and you can go against the crowd, and if it's a day where you think that Chelsea might be getting those tiers, might be getting like clean sheets, there could be a chance to steal a march. It's a big risk though, going against an asset like Fernandes. But yeah, certainly an example. Let's have a look at your team then. So so it's a tiny bit different to what we saw last week. So you've got Martinez in goal, Stones, Vestergaard, Cancelo, Diaz, Rafinha, Gundogan, Fernandes, Kane, Calvert-Lewin and Salah. So what changes have you been making this week, and any changes planned for the coming week?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a bit of a tragedy in terms of the transfers and what they've actually returned. But as we discussed, nearly every player has done nothing anyway. I had... What I did have is I had Bamford, and I decided to bring Barnes in for Bamford with the plan that I was going to do Gundogan to Calvert-Lewin. Wow. So I could have differentials, captains. They both served a purpose moving forward. I had Rafinha as my Leeds coverage, so I didn't need Bamford. I wish... My biggest regret, and I've said it since, is that on Overhaul that I wish I'd started with Rafinha rather than Bamford as my Leeds coverage, and then I wouldn't have had to restructure like this, which has cost me a few transfers. Anyway, so I got Barnes in. Obviously, that was absolutely tragic. The second time I've owned him this season. He did okay for me the first time, but then started missing out in games, so I had to get rid this time. Through no fault of his own, and obviously I wish him well. Horrific injury, so that was annoying from a fantasy perspective. So straight away, that kind of killed my plans. But because I did Bamford to him rather than Gundogan, I was then able to switch him straight back to Calvert-Lewin, which again, he got me 2 points, but that was the plan. And now I've kept Gundogan, who ended up getting an assist in the last minute when he came on. I didn't think Gundogan would play that game, so I kind of got that right. And then obviously just got lucky that he came on and got the assist. Moving forward on Gundogan, I mean, now because of the way my transfers have just worked and I've used so many, I'll be keeping him now. But to be honest, I do think there's possibly an opportunity there with Gundogan. I'm not sure if he's going to be as good as he was. I don't think there's any rush to get rid of him, but I think that there's maybe a potential when we're looking at the template and we're thinking where can we go different. He's one of the players. I think that maybe there might be another player around his value that we could look at that you could outscore him. And then I did what everyone else, well, not everyone, a lot of people have done that were on Ederson, is move Ederson, who had been... basically with Ederson, when you don't make any saves and you concede a goal, which Man City have been doing awkwardly, he just gets 2 points, and it's a lot of money to spend for a keeper that's just getting 2 points. And the fixtures have worked out where Martinez has got like a 2 or 3 run of really good games, and then obviously it offers a captain choice versus Newcastle when we don't have Grealish. And you did this as well, didn't you, Joe, I think? So that's the reason I did that. Obviously that didn't work out initially, but... Also, Villa have got an extra game to be thrown in there, which I'm hoping gets thrown in randomly during this run, which makes it even better. And it's also freed me up some cash, which now, if you look at, I think you've got my team on the screen there, haven't you? I've now got the exact money to do Vestergaard to Azpilicueta at some point in the future. So I'm going to hold Vestergaard. There's an argument to do it tonight. I think it's tonight or soon, where Chelsea play Liverpool. Let me just check the fixtures because I'm all out of the sync of them at the moment. Yeah, so tonight, isn't it? So we're recording Thursday morning. Chelsea play Liverpool. So I could bring Azpilicueta in now to get the extra game. And to be honest, I feel like the way Chelsea are playing, they could probably get a 0-0 in that game and he might get bonus. So it could work out. I don't get to see the lineups in that one. But if we move one step forward, Southampton are away to Sheffield United on Saturday, the 6th of March. Now, to me, that feels like all the games Vestergaard's had, that one looks like another good one.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's probably no need to make that move. Plus, I could obviously get injuries, other things could change, and I get more information by saving the transfer. So then I could have Vestergaard for that game, and he even offers a captain on that day, to be honest, because there's not many people playing that are well owned. And then we get to see the lineups on Monday, the 8th of March, when Chelsea are at home to Everton. Again, another game where I feel like Everton aren't particularly free scoring. Chelsea look pretty sound. So that probably makes more sense for me to do it at that point. So that's when I might then go to Azpilicueta. Of course, in between 2 weeks, things can change, injuries, and it may all go out the window. But that's the rough plan for me at the moment.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have. I mean, I think I shared with you, but I also shared on Twitter my my own version of a spreadsheet, which is me scribbling down on a piece of paper what my basic moves are going to be over the next month or so, and I'm sort of doing that at the moment. So here's my team up. So I've got Martinez, Stones, Vestergaard, Cancelo, Diaz. Ward-Prowse is my differential, which it hasn't come to fruition so far, but I'm hoping the volume of Southampton games and the favourable games, apart from City, will come good there. Gundogan, Fernandes, and I've got Kane, Calvert-Lewin and Salah. So my plan was always, I had Sanchez in. So I got Sanchez in to free up money, but also as my Brighton cover for that day. I've come to the conclusion now, as a Brighton fan, that I'm not going to get anything from him. And even if I did, I don't care now. So I've moved on. And Martinez, just the volume of games again, as you were saying, and if I knew Grealish was out for long term, I would get a Ghazi, and if I knew Grealish was back, I would get Grealish, but I don't know. So in Sky you can't mess around, and Martinez meanwhile is easing out 10-11 points if he's keeping a clean sheet. Yes, he only got me 2 points so far, but yeah, I'm quite happy to get him in. My other plan was to get Barnes in, but I haven't done that. So I'm not going to get Barnes in now. So he got injured before I was about to get him in. And then I've got Ward-Prowse and Vestergaard, and I could keep, and I'm going to, basically whichever one I dislike most is going to go to Rafinha on the March the 19th. So my next plan move is the 19th of March. So I'm going to be going through 26, 27, so that's when Southampton face, just looking down the list here, Southampton face Sheffield United, who's saying, I'm very happy to have Ward-Prowse and Vestergaard for that. And then we move on. They got Brighton on the 14th of March. Once again, I want to keep both for that. Especially Brighton, like Sheffield United, are really awful at conceding from set pieces. And
they also play away to City. They got a double that week, so you missed that one in between as well. Yeah,
and I sort of missed that out because it's sort of, I'm not expecting much from that. But nevertheless, I might get a couple of points from them.
Could still be 4 points or 3, depending on how many they concede. Yeah.
And then 19th of March, we have the single match day of Fulham against Leeds. I don't have any Leeds. That's when I'm going to go in Rafinha, and Rafinha's probably going to stay for the duration because he's that good. And so whichever of Vestergaard, I've got enough in the bank, and obviously with Vestergaard's price, Ward-Prowse would free up even more money. Whichever I just dislike most, I'm going to get rid of for them. So I've got a bit of flexibility there, a bit of choice. Ideally, I'd quite like to move Vestergaard onto Rafinha, because then Ward-Prowse can become, I don't know, Antonio could become another, just someone different. Where, you know, everyone's got similar teams. So that's my plan now. And then everyone's going to get injured, and that plan's going to go out the window.
Yeah.
So that's the plan at the moment. And I've got 14 transfers left. I don't want to use any more at the moment.
No. Another option I think is Neto, just because Wolves have got a really good run. Unfortunately, they don't play in the blank though, so it kind of, they do offer a hop-on point quite a lot of the time. I mean, they play last against Liverpool, for example, on Monday the 15th, so you could jump off of any player onto them there, but you're not expecting too much. Well, I say that, Liverpool, the way they are, you never know, maybe they could get something there. But yeah, it's just because of that blank, I guess, that's kind of annoying. But they've got such a good run after that as well that I feel like Neto, you were saying like Antonio and Neto are probably the only two and now that Barnes has gone, are probably the only two midfielders that stand out to me of having the potential to score a lot of points, which is kind of frustrating. But they're the only ones that can kind of see at the moment, really. I mean, you could argue Saka, but a lot of these guys are not necessarily nailed on, are they? Especially in Saka's case. So
Calvert-Lewin is interesting me at the moment. Yes, we might get an extra game with the Villa game, might be sandwiched in before those blanks coming up. We'll know that in a week or two, hopefully. But Calvert-Lewin, Everton have changed formation slightly, and Richarlison is now the man up front, and Calvert-Lewin has moved to the right. And that's a situation I want to monitor. That may have just been a one-off, the last match. We're going to see Everton play tonight, and we might get some more information. But if that's looking like the case, then Richarlison could be the differential we're after for Everton, if we want Everton. And alternatively, I might move Calvert-Lewin on to one of those nice midfielders.
I didn't realise it was that. I thought it was a 4-4-2, but maybe it's just he was. Yeah, did he cover the right flank a little bit more? Did he?
It's one of those. If you have a look back on Ancelotti's comments, he was talking about moving Calvert-Lewin to the right, and it was unclear whether it's just for that match or whether he's just stumbled upon something. But he's getting the best out of Richarlison now, and they're scoring. So whether it's Richarlison or Calvert-Lewin, who is it going to be? In a way, it doesn't really matter to Everton as long as they win and score goals. So that's the situation I'm going to monitor. Calvert-Lewin may not be long for my team long term, but we've got time. We've got time to look at that. Let's have a look at these fixtures. We have got game week 26 coming up. So we've sort of hopped forward a bit to game week sort of 30 time when we might hop on Wolves. Or may not, but game week 26, looking at those fixtures on the Saturday, it's a bit Burnley, Arsenal, Sheffield United, Southampton, Villa, Wolves, and Brighton, Leicester. This is you're looking at Vestergaard this day.
Yeah, well, this is part of the reason why I also got Martinez, is because he offers an alternative for me there as well. Martinez at home to Wolves or Vestergaard away to Sheffield United. I think it's much of a muchness. I mean, if it was the old school Vestergaard, pre his injury, where they were getting passing bonus regularly, then that would be Vestergaard all day. But the Southampton are just so ravaged by injuries that I just feel like that. It's unlikely that they'll get a clean sheet. They've just been conceding goals for fun. He's not getting the passing, more importantly. So I've pretty much been relying from him scoring from a set piece, which, to be honest, every game he's looked like he could have scored.
He's currently got the most big chances in the last four amongst Southampton assets, more than Ings.
There we go. Okay, so I mean, it'll be sod's law. He scores it now. The one time I don't have him as captain, but I just feel Martinez at home to Wolves just feels like a safer pick, to be honest. Not only do they get the extra 2 points for the clean sheet, which would level out if Vestergaard was to get passing bonus, it's Martinez. This guy's been killing it all season for saves, and Wolves like to shoot a lot at goal at the moment, I feel.
I like both of those options, and I've got them, but I'm going to captain Ward-Prowse that day. Not, yes, to be different, but I do think if I'm going to get more points, it's going to be that. And relying on a goal from a defender, I'm not. It can happen, but it doesn't happen every week. Yeah, Martinez is safe, but I'm quite happy to own these two and then go for something different. This is my attempt to try and claw up the rankings a bit, and I think Ward-Prowse did it. And I would possibly recommend anyone else. This is a day where you can be a little different. Arsenal assets. If you've got Saka captaincy against Burnley, you'll know whether he's going to play as well.
Well, this is one of the ones that we're making do with the best assets we got, but really, I mean, ideally, considering how Burnley just folded to Spurs as well, I mean, if Aubameyang's in the starting lineup and up front, and you see it and you get to see the lineup, then bringing him in and captaining him could be a masterstroke again. I mean, he did it recently with a hat-trick, didn't he? So, yeah, I mean, these are the kind of ideal things I would do if I had transfers to burn or it was on a one-off game week team. But obviously, we're not in that situation and I don't want him moving forward. No. So, yeah, this is where the people who have got a lot of transfers can look at these opportunities and think, well, that no one's going to have Aubameyang in for captain that day.
I mean, long-term, Saka is a player that I'm interested in long-term. So, it's one of these things. I mean, it might not work out in terms of volume of games or the nice games. And obviously, but he does play in that sort of blank game week that we have coming up, and I don't know. I mean, it's a tempter. I mean, I'm okay because I've got this sort of differential midfielder to go for. I'll get 2 points. I could get 20 points. I don't know, but That's the day to do it. Moving on to Sunday, West Brom against Newcastle, Liverpool against Fulham, City against Manchester United, Tottenham against Palace. This is more like it. I would imagine Kane is probably going to be the most popular, but having seen Crystal Palace defence recently, I don't know whether he's the best option. What do we think?
It's a real teaser, isn't it? Because you've got Salah at home to Fulham, you've got Man City and they're at home, and instantly Diaz is probably getting a 10-pointer in that again. And then you got Spurs, home to Palace with Kane, etc., who's looking at it at the moment. I think, like you, most will be on Kane, just on the strength that Fulham are a little bit better now. Man United are obviously, it's a derby at the end of the day. It's a tougher game. I mean, everything is pointing towards 0-0 in these games at the moment, but you never know. Man United are kind of suited to this kind of game, I feel. So maybe not. And then Palace. I mean, they've been defending a little bit better recently, getting some better results, but you just feel like at any moment Palace can capitulate. And I mean, if they're continuing to play Van Aanholt at left back, which is what they seem to be doing of late, and obviously we saw what Bale just did recently, that could work out. The fact is we don't know whether Bale's going to start and play. So for me, it will probably be Kane on the fact that I pretty much know he's going to be playing, and he's got the easiest opposition on paper, even if they've improved recently. Yeah,
for me, it's between Kane and Diaz, probably. I'm 99.9% certain, which is pretty much his ownership in the top 1,000s, certain that Diaz will play, and I'm also almost certain he's going to be picking up some tiers there. I think he is the sort of safe one. And I don't know, but... that's going to go down to the wire there, but I feel comfortable that I feel I have the best captaincy.
The thing with him is, well, it's been highlighted a lot in the media of late, and obviously he's been scoring the odd goal. I think he's really a candidate for man of the match in that game as well. If they just cruise to a 1 or a 2-0 and he's just mopped everything up like he's been doing of late, then you could be looking at 10 points, clean sheet, passing bonus, man of the match. And they've been scoring all their goals from centre-backs of late. I wouldn't put it past them to be involved in the goals as well. So, it could be a masterstroke.
Okay. Moving on to the Monday, we've got Chelsea, Everton, West Ham, Leeds. Now, for me, it's Calvert-Lewin, but that's through circumstance. If there is some kind of injury to Ward-Prowse or Vestergaard or one of those, then I'm going to move them on to Rafinha or indeed Antonio. But I think I prefer not to make any transfers. Calvert-Lewin for me. You were saying. I suppose Rafinha's an option for you, Calvert-Lewin, but you're also talking about Azpilicueta.
Yeah, at the moment, I mean, with my team as it is at the moment, it would probably be on Rafinha. I just feel like Chelsea are so solid that I'd go. I mean, West Ham are pretty solid too, but Rafinha in every game looks like he's the best player on the pitch. So I feel like that would be my option. However, I might bring Azpilicueta in on that day, and if I do and he's in the starting lineup, I'd feel fairly confident that he would get passing or tackling bonus in that game. So therefore, I've got that to fall back on, and he's also got a chance for a clean sheet. So he will probably be my captain if I do that. The name you just mentioned, though, Antonio, is probably him and Lingard. I would say are probably two of the better options for differentials that could do really well, and I'd love to have them in my team because I think I'd captain them ahead of them if I did. Yeah, I mean, I'm tempted. That's a tempter for me. It's Ward-Prowse could make way to Antonio very easily, and I think I'll be missing out on a volume of games and a nice Brighton game with Southampton, and it could cost me. But that captaincy day, I'm not sure about Calvert-Lewin at the moment at all. He himself could move to Antonio. I don't know. It's a search for trying to be a bit different, but also looking at the changes in form, and I need to see Everton a bit more. This may well go out on Friday after Everton have played tonight, and then Calvert-Lewin might have got a hat-trick, so ignore everything I said, but these things can happen. Let's have a look at the community questions. FF Dempsey, at this stage, he's writing this after the Palace game, which was last night. Is it a viable strategy to go without Bruno Fernandes for a few games, or not worth the risk? So Bruno Fernandes hasn't done anything in the last 4 matches. He's got City next, and then not many fixtures as well. He's part of that sort of blank game week coming up. Yeah, I mean, is it worth? I mean, you're going to want him back, surely, or will you? I suppose for me, it depends entirely where you are in the league. I just feel like for me, there's no the answer is keep Fernandes. He's done this in the past, and I've been guilty of this as well. On overhaul, I didn't pick him, and it worked for maybe 1 or 2 games where Man United looked a little bit lackluster and he didn't really get any points. In fact, he got 2 pointers, and then all of a sudden he turned up and started scoring ridiculous points because of his price. I had to restructure. Now, you might not be in that similar situation. I feel, you have to pick out your opportunities to try and be clever in this game. I just don't feel like he's one of them. I know he's not been doing particularly well. I know it makes sense on fixtures, and yes, it could work, but it's probably 2 transfers, like you say, because you're probably going to want him back at some point. If you're just deciding you don't want him and you want to be different because you're not where you want to be in your leagues, I mean, maybe you've given up on winning the whole thing. Maybe you just want in a few cash leagues and you're about 3 or 4 places below, and everyone above you's got Bruno Fernandes. Yes, I can see the appeal of doing it. It makes sense on fixtures, etc. Why not go for it? And you never know. It doesn't matter if you finish 7th or 5th, does it? If you're aiming for first. So I can, in that sort of on that viewpoint, I can understand it. But for anyone who's just trying to play safe and trying to get as high a finish as they can, to me, it's just too risky. I just leave them in.
That's what I think. It's just that just screams 2 transfers. One, very unnecessary, just simply getting him back in. Tom Hartnell asks, Harvey Barnes to Rafinha. Should he just do it now and just be done with it? He doesn't have any Leeds at the moment. So Leeds aren't sort of playing at the moment. And then we were talking about some of the fixtures coming up, and he's currently got Harvey Barnes, so he could move to someone else. But yeah, just ahead of that next Leeds game, just go for it. Just get Rafinha in.
I think so. I mean, there's other opportunities to be clever, like he's saying. There's other people with other games, and when they first play, it is away to West Ham, which isn't a fantastic game. But considering how good a value he is, and probably what he enables you to do elsewhere, which is the key. I think you just get that done, because we just discussed there's not too many midfielders. I mean, the only other one I would consider is likes of Antonio, and he could get injured in the next game, and then suddenly that was a complete waste. So Rafinha is the standout pick, I think.
Alex Brown has Wan-Bissaka, so well done. Wan-Bissaka's been doing quite well recently, clean sheets, but also getting tears. But should he move off to a cheaper option? I guess he's talking about the sort of the volume of games Manchester United have got, and also their running's not great. So Fernandes is one thing, but Wan-Bissaka, maybe time to move.
I mean, he's been doing really well, isn't it? I wouldn't be in any particular rush. I think that Man City game, maybe they can get a 0-0 out of that. If it's a price thing, I mean, I was going to say, for example, Azpilicueta at the same price or 0.1 more offers more than Wan-Bissaka for me. He's got slightly more chance of a clean sheet, and he's even though Wan-Bissaka can get tackles, Azpilicueta gets passes nearly all the time and occasionally tackles. So he's another option, I think, but he's more expensive. So if he's looking to save money, I mean, you've mentioned it before. I guess the Villa boys have got more games. It doesn't feel great because Villa haven't been playing that well. Konsa randomly got passing tier, which doesn't usually happen. So maybe you could look at them. Doesn't particularly jump out to me though. It's tricky to work out where to go. The other people to consider, I think, are the Fulham defenders, which sounds crazy to say out loud, but many of them are getting passing bonus virtually every game and clean sheets. So I mean, I can't even say his name. Adebayo.
Yeah, that one.
He's 5.2 million. Okay, and we did talk about him actually on Overhaul as a differential. So let me just read out his last few games. So he got 4 points versus Leicester, and they lost 2-0 against Leicester. Okay. So he got passes tier 2. That's great. You take that all day. 5.2 million. You just need him to play.
Yeah.
He got 9 points versus West Ham. Passes tier 1, clean sheet, 0-0. He got 7 points versus Everton, clean sheet versus Everton. That's fine. He then got a 2-pointer versus Burnley. Okay, not ideal, but for 5.2 million, happy days. And then 9 points versus Sheffield United, clean sheet, passes tier 1. And then against Palace, again, it was 0-0, clean sheet and passes tier 2. So he is returning at a level, I mean, you would say close to the likes of Stones and Diaz over those 4 or 5. Will that continue? Probably not. But the passes is always there. He's 5.2 million. He's close to half the price of Wan-Bissaka. And he also plays in the blank game week. They've got some incredibly tough games coming up. They're playing Spurs, Liverpool and City, I think, in the next few.
Yeah.
But after that, their run's not horrific. It's a little bit up and down, and they play in the blank. So,
and especially, you free up that money. I mean, it might be unclear at the moment until we see firmly what the remaining fixtures are, single match days, etc. But to have that extra money in the bank might be
Just a great budget enabler. I mean, Kevin De Bruyne has come back and started to look okay, but suddenly he starts becoming ridiculous. How are you going to get him? Well, there's one way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's why I moved away from Edison. Partly that. I mean, but partly obviously, you know, if they concede, he's only going to get 2 points. But it was partly just because I was just like, oh, God, I can get so much more money from like Sanchez or Martinez. So that's the goalkeeper realm I'm in at the moment, and lots are. FPI, off spinner says who are the must-have players to bring in to cover single game weeks. So I guess the first tricky one is game week 27, Newcastle Villa. Bring in a Villa player. Martinez, I guess, at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, when he says must have, I don't think any of them must have. No. The only there's 2 single match days that we can see so far, I think, and I'll check that as I go through. But one's Man City home to Southampton. I don't think I need to talk about that. Nearly everyone's got City player. You get to see the lineup. City player, obviously. Then you say Friday the 12th of March, Newcastle home to Aston Villa. Now, the way Villa are playing at the moment and the absentee of Grealish makes me think that you could quite easily avoid it. I don't think you need to rip your team up to bring people in, but we talked about it already. If Grealish is out, El Ghazi's a great player if you wanted to go there for that game. Martinez just serves a great purpose. That's why I got him in, just to captain him for that day. Could easily get... I mean, Newcastle have now got St. Maxim, Almiron, and I don't know what the status of Wilson is either, potentially. Yeah. That all could miss that game. So you'd like to think that's a clean sheet, even the way Villa have been playing. So yeah, him. And then the only other single days, I guess, are the ones in the blanks that we know about so far.
We've got Wolves Liverpool in the... Is that right?
Oh, okay.
Monday the 15th, Wolves Liverpool. So Salah, obviously, but that could be a Neto time.
Yeah, or again, I think if you don't have them in your team, do you really want to bring Salah in at the moment for one game? I don't know whether you do. No. So I think, again, you could avoid on that one if you don't want to rip up your team. But yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there. It's basically Neto or Salah, I think, for moving forward from that point. I wouldn't really consider anyone else, I don't think.
And then next to the blanks in game week 28, Fulham lead. So obviously Rafinha, those Fulham defenders, Bamford, Dallas, Ayling, whichever you've got, there are options that day. And then there's Brighton, Newcastle. Now I've got rid of my only Brighton asset for Martinez, and I've just weighed up. I think I'm just overall from now on until it changes, I'm going to get more points from Martin. I'm just going to sack off that day. I just do not care about Brighton, Newcastle.
Yeah, I was always going to sack off this day, and sacking off Brighton in general has been pretty good for me overall. Yeah. I think of all the games so far, you would say that one's probably even more than my nails, given the state of Newcastle's injuries. Yeah. So yeah, clean sheet could easily be there. Dunk could be a 10-point and there all day to 20. But is he needed? Is he absolutely required? Do you need to bring him in at that point? No, I don't think so.
All it takes is a John Joe Shelvey free kick, and then it's all gone for Brighton. I mean, that's it. I mean, I still can't reiterate how Brighton are conspiring to lose when they shouldn't. And I say that as a biased fan, but Palace scoring 2 goals from two touches in the penalty box. That's ridiculous. In 90 minutes, they touched the ball twice in the penalty box and scored from both of them. Previous season, Zaha scored the only shot against Brighton. This is what they do. They're the XG champions, but their champions are nothing for fantasy managers. I think those single matches, I agree. I guess if you've still got Lewis Dunk, but I don't know. I think you might.
I mean, I've still got him. I'd hold him because they've still got some decent games in between, and he is still getting the pass most. The thing is, when you've got to compare it to what else other people are doing at the moment, and everyone's doing nothing at the moment. So the fact that Dunk is getting 5 points a game, it is pretty good compared to a lot of people. Yeah. So yeah, hold him to that game for sure. I'd say now and then possibly get rid afterwards. But for me, just answering it as a whole, I mean, the only ones that really stand out are maybe Martinez, Rafinha, or Bamford for that Leeds Fulham game, and then obviously it's not a single day, but West Ham are playing Arsenal. I don't think many people have got anyone from them, and then it's Villa versus Spurs. So I think you're going to want Kane on that day because he's going to be heavily captained. So I'd say Kane, Rafinha, Martinez are probably the only 3 right now that look like they're must-haves on single days.
Indeed. Well, thank you so much for everyone for your questions. Before we go, quick reminder, look in the Fantasy Football Scout members area. There's lots of useful stats there about passing, tackling, that kind of thing for Sky managers and FPL managers alike. And do check out the website for details. But in the meantime, Luke, thanks so much for joining me and good luck with your game week in Sky.
Same to you, mate. See you on the next one.